in the RV again. Going through, these are some of the things that I had in the RV. Like, it's astonishing how much the RV held. Like, these are the comfort items, not necessarily the things we needed. But yeah, so much stuff. Okay, so a couple of things. This is my first time driving in over a year. It's just like riding a bike. I think if I were to be driving in Mexico or someplace that I wasn't as familiar with, it would be nerve-wracking. But I'm back in Georgia, and so driving in the US is driving in the US. I know the rules. Two, riding in my RV makes me want to like pack up and go on an RV tour. Like, that's what it makes me want to do. I've been going through today all of our stored items, and really the only things that my sister did not sell are Alex's like toys and possessions, because Alex is not ready to get rid of his stuff, and then anything that I had in the RV. So I have all of my RV life stuff separated, and I told my sister not to sell any of those items. So everything I've been going through has been RV life memories. Like, it's been all the RV stuff. And there's a huge part of me that's like, there's nothing particularly in Mexico that I have to go back to, except for the dog, and really that's it. Like, Henry's the only thing. Like, all my stuff is still everywhere in my Airbnb apartment, so it's not like ready for her to rent out to somebody else. And so that's what is hugely negative. Here's what I'm thinking. We're gonna go back to Mexico for 6 months, which will bring us to May, which is really when Mexico, specifically Merida, is super hot. And then it's like, why don't we just come back to the States and do RV life for a little while? You know what I'm saying? Like, we could just do RV life until we hit October, November timeframe again, go back to Mexico. Like, we could do the snowbird life and just go to Mexico when it's cold and then come back to the States in the summer and do RV life. I have to be really careful not to say this to Alex, because I think he would be like completely for it, and I have to make sure that I'm completely for it before I suggest it to him. My number one reason for not wanting to do it is finances. The US is so much more expensive, and my RV lifestyle, I think if you're stationary in an RV, it's cost effective, but I am not going to be like, that would defeat the purpose of my wanting my RV back. I would want to be moving every 3 days or so, similar to what I did before. And so that would not be cost effective. Can I get a look at your outfit? Tell me what you're dressed up as.
I don't know. That's me.
As an adventurer?
Sure.
How do you feel?
Right.
What's the best part about being in the States?
Family.
Yeah. Are you doing like a fake smile for the camera?
No, I'm not. This is making me happy.
Multi-grain bagel and unsweet tea
And donuts that don't taste horrible.
cousin playing, and I'm gonna get some gas for the RV, do some other chores. RV life. We got some gifts from the pecan store, and now we're going to Walmart for some miscellaneous items that I just need. We're here for such a short time. I feel a little bit rushed, but in a good way. Like, I'm really enjoying my time here. And in between tours, I'm just yakking with family, which is one of my favorite things to do anyway. Just sitting down and talking to people I love. Okay, so far, Dunkin' Donuts let us eat inside, but Chick-fil-A and Steak and Shake, they're open, only allow us to go through the drive-thru, and Chick-fil-A's drive-thru has a 9-foot clearance, and I'm a little less than 9.5 feet tall, so we're just not going to Chick-fil-A. This is a tight turn, man, for Steak and Shake. Like, I've got the clearance, the height clearance, but it's got one of those curved drive-throughs where, like, my tires are basically like stepping on top of the curb just to make this turn. really hope my tires are okay after that. My hope is if I do RV life, I wouldn't be hanging around in this area. I would be going to places that naturally accommodate RV life, like national parks and such. They, as well as all of their drive-through locations, tend to have the bigger parking spots, tend to have the larger drive-through areas, so it might work out. You too.
My grandmother was here. So who bought these?
I don't know. Hi, good-looking kids. Are you playing a game? I thought you said you wanted to read a book.
That was a while ago.
Busted.
All of this, these are Alex's toys. All of these were nicely in these boxes over here, and Alex and his cousins have taken them all out and done nothing but play with his toys. But I mean, that's the purpose of toys, right? There she is. And there's my boy, ready for an adventure. No matter where we are in the States, it's super rare for us to not find a park somewhere. For us, when we visit family, and this could be now during Christmas or just any time, my number one goal is never to go sightseeing. It's not to go to the newest restaurants or to do the newest thing or necessarily even to visit old favorites. It really is to talk to my family members, so the majority of this trip has really just been late night talks with Dad, playing board games with family, and of course for Alex, getting into all of his toys that he's had packed up for over a year now. So it's almost like a mini Christmas, just being able to have his old things, and for me, just being able to be with family. So while Alex prefers, of course, to play with people that he knows, he has learned that the travel life means he has to say hello to random people, to random kids, just to see if they'll play with him. So that's the stage of play that we're in right now. We just got here, and so he has to wait for friends, wait for people to show up, and then start saying hello to people he doesn't know. And we'll see if he finds anyone that is comfortable playing with him. Okay, so a couple things that I had to do in the US that was harder to do in Mexico are things that required mailing things and or doing it in person. So I had a bank account that I'm no longer using, so I wanted to close it. And so it's just easier to do that in person, and those banks aren't in Mexico, so I have to, of course, come to the US. My credit card expired last month, so I ordered a new card. So basically just lots of little things that is just easier in the US vice dealing with the mail in Mexico. Everything else that I wanted to really just included food and going to the park and hanging out with family. So mission accomplished. So the first time I did RV life, one of the huge difficulties in doing YouTube is I was figuring out YouTube, I was figuring out how to drive the vehicle, I was figuring out how to maintain the vehicle, all of the things like how to not waste food, how to use the propane tank properly, how to keep the fridge cold, how to homeschool, how to figure out the next place that I want to hang out for boondocking. Like there's so much learning was happening that I couldn't fully concentrate on YouTube. Like YouTube became like the last thing on my list of things to do, and so the quality of videos weren't necessarily there. And yes, so one of the best parts of Mexico has been the much more reliable internet compared to RV life, much more reliable power, right? I don't have to constantly move things around in the house because I'm in a house as opposed to an RV. And so YouTube has been much easier to concentrate on in Mexico than it had been during RV life. But I think the second time around, because I already have an idea of how we homeschool, how I like to travel, I have concepts now. And so I think it'll be much easier to do RV life and YouTube life. But there's a lot of learning curves in RV life. Lots of little things, and it added up. I was taking videos of the nature of the things we were looking at, but not RV life in particular. We're probably gonna do a solid 6 more months in Mexico before we start RV life again. That'll bring us back to the States in the summer. I'll probably need, we'll say, a month, hopefully not a full month, of time to fix up the RV. I've got a window that's broken. I need to do a tune-up, and I just assume something's gonna be wonky in the tune-up, and you know, so that'll take time, etc., and then we'll hit the road. I also need to learn like what's changed in RV life since I've left, like specifically because of COVID. I'm hearing rumors it's a lot harder to park at Walmarts than it was a year ago, that it's harder to boondock in general than it was a year ago, and that is a huge concern.